Armie Hammer has broken his silence for the first time since alleged cannibalistic fantasies and sexual assault claims halted the actor's career 2 years ago. Speaking to digital newsletter Airmail, Hammer said, "I'm here to own my mistakes, take accountability for the fact that I was an asshole, that I was selfish, that I used people to make me feel better, and when I was done, moved on. I'm now a healthier, happier, more balanced person." In the interview, Hammer reveals for the first time that he was molested at the age of 13 by a youth pastor at his church, a revelation that was corroborated by 2 people including his godmother. "It introduced sexuality into my life in a way that it was completely out of my control," Hammer said. "I was powerless in the situation. I had no agency in the situation. Sexuality was introduced to me in a scary way where I had no control. My interests then went to, I want to have control in the situation, sexually. Because being out of control was very dangerous for me and very uncomfortable." Hammer also addressed the accusations of sexual abuse and rape against him, specifically those levied by Effie, who accused the actor of violently raping and assaulting her during an April 2017 encounter. The Los Angeles Police Department opened a sexual assault investigation in February 2021 following the accusations Effie made public on Instagram. According to Hammer, the alleged incident was a well-planned, consensual non-consent scene where every single thing was discussed beforehand between him and Effie in a since-deleted Facebook Messenger conversation. This alleged rape was a scene that was her idea. She planned all of the details out, all the way down to what Starbucks I would see her at, how I would follow her home, how her front door would be open and unlocked and I would come in, and we would engage in what is called a consensual non-consent scene, CNC. As for other accusers, Hammer admitted he was emotionally abusive and that the power dynamics were off, but denied he sexually assaulted them. "They could have been happy to just be with me and would have said yes to things that maybe they wouldn't have said yes to on their own. That's an imbalance of power in the situation," Hammer told Airmail. "I had a very intense and extreme lifestyle, and I would scoop up these women, bring them into it, into this whirlwind of travel and sex and drugs and big emotions flying around, and then as soon as I was done, I'd just drop them off and move on to the next woman, leaving that woman feeling abandoned or used. I just walked out into the ocean and swam out as far as I could and hoped that either I drowned or was hit by a boat or eaten by a shark," Hammer said. "Then I realized that my kids were still on shore, and that I couldn't do that to my kids." Following a stint in drug and alcohol rehab, Hammer is now working as a sober companion to a fellow recovering addict. The actor also confirmed reports that Robert Downey Jr., himself a former addict who enjoyed a career resurgence in sobriety, has been supportive in his recovery. "There are examples everywhere, Robert being one of them, of people who went through those things and found redemption through a new path," Hammer said. "I feel like, is what's missing in this cancel culture, woke mob business. The minute anyone does anything wrong, they're thrown away. There's no chance for rehabilitation. There's no chance for redemption. Someone makes a mistake, and we throw them away like a broken disposable camera." Robert and others are examples of what it looks like for a human being to experience pain and then growth. And that aspect of it is something that I aspire to. Reflecting on the events of the past 2 years, Hammer added, "I'm truly grateful for my life and my recovery and everything. I would not go back and undo everything that's happened to me."
Pope meets displaced children in South Sudan. Pope Francis has met South Sudanese children displaced by conflict and heard of the hardships of their lives in camps, telling them they would build a better future for the world's newest country by replacing ethnic hatred with forgiveness. South Sudan broke away from Sudan in 2011 but plunged into civil war in 2013 with ethnic groups turning on each other. Despite a 2018 peace deal between the two main antagonists, bouts of interethnic fighting have continued to kill and displace large numbers of civilians. At a meeting in the capital Juba, the Christian leaders listened to testimonies from displaced children, including Johnson Juma Alex, 14, who has been living in a camp since 2014 after fleeing his hometown because of fighting. Life in the camp is not good because the area is small and crowded, he told them, reading haltingly from a prepared text in English, which is not his native language. There is not enough space to play football. Many children do not go to school because there are not enough teachers and schools for all of us, he said. The future cannot lie in refugee camps, the Pope told the children after hearing their stories at the event, which was held in a prefabricated structure holding about 2,500 people. As you said, Johnson, there is a need for all children like yourself to have the opportunity to go to school, and to have a field to play football. Francis said hope for South Sudan's future rests in children from different ethnic groups, who have suffered and are still suffering, yet who do not want to respond to evil with more evil. There are 2.2 million internally displaced people in South Sudan, out of a total population of about 11.6 million, and another 2.3 million have fled the country as refugees, according to the United Nations. Extreme poverty and hunger have become rife, with 2/3 of the population needing humanitarian assistance as a result of conflict, as well as 3 years of catastrophic floods. Francis has been seeking to draw global attention to the country's plight. The deal and many of its key provisions, including the formation of a national unified army, have stalled amid political infighting and continued clashes around the country that have forced the postponement of the first presidential election for another 2 years. Francis also called for women and girls to be respected, protected and honored during the meeting in Juba. Women, girls and children make up the majority of those displaced. The head of the UN mission in South Sudan, Sarah Basilo Nianti, told Francis that women and girls were extremely vulnerable to sexual and gender-based violence, with UN statistics estimating some 4 out of 10 have been victim to one or more forms of assault. She said women and girls were at risk for rape when they were just out doing their daily routines and chores. If the women of South Sudan are given an opportunity to develop, to have space to be productive, South Sudan will be transformed, she told Francis. The Pope picked up her theme in his remarks, saying women were the key to South Sudan's peaceful development. Please, protect, respect, appreciate and honor every woman, every girl, young woman, mother and grandmother, he said. Otherwise, there will be no future. According to UNICEF, roughly 75% of girls in South Sudan do not go to school because their parents prefer to keep them at home and set them up for a marriage that will bring a dowry for the family. Half of South Sudan's women are married before age 18, and they then face the world's highest maternal mortality rate. The United Nations Commission on Human Rights in South Sudan said in a report last year that, overall, women and girls here live a hellish existence. Mariam Niantabo, a 36-year-old resident of a Juba protection camp, said women were grateful for Francis's visit. The plight against women is shocking, she told the Associated Press news agency, noting the risk of rape comes from everyday chores like collecting firewood. His visit is blessed to women of South Sudan, and I believe there will be a great change, the suffering of the women will be reduced. The Pope's stop in South Sudan followed a visit to the Democratic Republic of Congo, another resource-rich country plagued by persistent conflict. The visit, Francis's fifth to Africa, was initially scheduled for 2022 but had to be postponed because of problems with the Pope's knee. The affliction has made him dependent on a wheelchair and has pared back his itinerary in both countries.